Watem here, welcome back to some more Umineko When Seagulls Cry. Let us continue.
ジェシカの言い分通りだとするなら、老い先短いじい様が恋に狂っての自殺まがい。いや、壮大な無理心中ってことなのか。
ケンジ、その可能性は。
わかりません。親方様は時に1000年の未来を見越されるほどの聡明なお方です。しかし凡庸な私にはそれが狂気としか映らないこともあります。
それってイエスって意味だよな。熊沢さんはどうなんだよ。
私は何も知りません。知りませんとも。知っていたなら今日この島にいると思いますか？仮病でも何でも使ってお休みしていますよ。
おじい様の長年の友人である南條先生のご意見は？
源氏さんに同じです。金蔵さんは凡人をはるかに超越した方だった。そこにある種の人間離れした力すらも感じることはありました。私にも金蔵さんが何を考えてこの碑文を残されたのかわからない。
一つだけ言えるのは、仮にこの筋書きを作ったのがお父様であっても、実行しているのは別の人間だということです。
確かに。少なくともじい様とカノン君を襲った犯人は他にいる。しかもそいつはこの碑文通りまだ事件を続けようとしている。
僕たちが深く考えなかった最初の手紙、あれには何て書いてあっただろう。
He thought back to the recitation of the letter last night. Beatrice had proclaimed something inside it. She proclaimed that, according to her contract with Kinzo, she would collect everything of Yoshiromio family's interest. Then she had also revealed a special clause. If someone discovered the location of the gold grandfather had hidden, that right would be lost. When the letter was read, grandfather was still alive. But, at that time, it had already been sealed with wax by the head's ring. Which meant grandfather had handed the ring over to Beatrice while he was still alive. If we take a straightforward approach, maybe we should assume Beatrice is carrying out that strange contract with grandfather guaranteeing her that right. In other words, this was the same as saying grandfather knew of and approved of the contents of that letter. In other words, it's basically a joint message from Beatrice and grandfather, telling us that Beatrice will start collecting interest if we don't solve the riddle. In other words, grandfather and Beatrice are demanding that we try and solve the riddle of the Epitaph. And if we couldn't, they were saying that the massacre would be carried out according to the Epitaph. What does that mean? What do they want? I don't have a clue what it means.
ほら、ベアトリーチェからまた手紙だよ。
なんだって？
Miri was pointing at the top of the table, where the canned food everyone had been eating just now still lay. A Western envelope from Beatrice certainly was sitting there, but so what? And Natsui let out a hysterical cry, looking between her own hand and the table, because the envelope she had just opened was still grasped in her hand. So why is there still an envelope on the table?
なんだよ。どういうことだよ、マリア。その封筒はどこから出てきたんだ。
今見たら置いてあった。
That ooh doesn't sound as cute as it normally does.
私は何も知りませんよ。何も。
冗談じゃねえ。ここには俺たち8人しかいねえんだぞ。9人目がこっそり忍び込んでいたなんてこともあるわけがねえ。俺たちがちょいと肖像画の前に集まっていたわずかの隙しかないんだぞ。
Well, there possibly is a ninth person in the room, or set of rooms. They probably wouldn't have been able to sneak it there. It would have to be either some witch putting it there in some way or another, or one of the 8 of them doing it. And Natsui was pointing the rifle at Genji and the others, bellowing at them. Genji-san was overpowered, his face looking like he didn't have a clue what was going on. Of course, I felt the same, but a few moments late, I reached the same conclusion that Natsui had. Until just a few seconds ago, there had been no letter like this on the table, and nobody entered this room. That means someone among us placed it there during the few seconds when everyone was looking away, preoccupied with the portrait. I like this music. I picked it up. It was still sealed with wax. Even without disturbing its contents, I realized that this was an as yet unopened envelope, an unknown envelope. Without relying on a paper knife, I tore it open and pulled out the letter inside. The contents were as follows.
金蔵様の碑文の謎をお楽しみいただいているでしょうか。すでにご存知と思いますが、皆様方には自己どうか嵐が過ぎ去れば逃げ出すことができるという甘えをお捨てくださいませ。このゲームには私と皆様方のどちらが勝つかの結果しかない。時間切れは私の勝ちとなる。引き分けはありません。そこをどうか誤解なきようお願い申し上げます。
Meanwhile, I'm wondering where the voice is.
って内容だぜ。
この手紙を誰が置いたかは明白ではありません。ですが疑わしき人物を絞ることはできました。あなたたちです。
Servants?
奥様。
Because the family was gathered around the portrait.
それはあんまりにございます。
私は肖像画の前に行く直前、ここに缶詰を置きました。その時このような怪しげな手紙は決して置かれていなかったことを確認しています。そしてその時すでにジェシカとジョージ君、バトラ君は肖像画の前にいた。そして彼らはこの手紙が現れるまで肖像画の前を離れていない。
What about Maria?
つまりあなたたち4人の中にその手紙を置いた人物がいる。ベアトリーチェがいる。
おお、ベアトリーチェはマリアたちじゃない。
Maria is one of the ones she's accusing. Okay.
ベアトリーチェはいる
お黙りなさい。あなたたちの中の一人が疑わしいのか全員が疑わしいのか分かりません。しかし確実にあなたたちの中に犯人が混じっている。
そうだぜ。19人目なんかいるわけがない。魔女なんかいるわけがないんだ。カノン君を殺したのだって。そうさ、熊沢さんなら説明できるよ。熊沢さんは本当はカノン君と一緒にボイラー室に入り殺したんだ。そして後から来たらもう倒れていたと嘘をついた。
誤解です、お嬢様。私がなぜそのようなことを。
Now, the problem with locking her away in another room would be that then she's going to get killed.
母さんたちをどうやってあの密室で殺したのかは見当もつかない。でも母さんたちが殺された時、使用人の人たち以外の全員にはアリバイがあった。
Yeah, and they really should have waited to cut the chain, because technically, no one there can actually verify that the chain wasn't cut after they entered the room.
なかったのは使用人の人たちだけ。
Or actually, what I meant to say is it wasn't cut earlier.
でも本当に疑ってもいいんだろうか。
確かにそれを言い出したら全ての件でアリバイはないが、
Should you really be so quick to make that judgment? At this time, in this room, in this place, in this moment, in this minimally small bit of time and space, it's obvious. What if there's Miss Vouchers? Only one of the four of them could have set the letter on there in our blind spot. We can't tell who put it there, but it's obvious that one of the four did it.
夏井さん、どうか落ち着きなさい。今日一日いろいろなことがあった。心が参っているのはよくわかります。
南條先生をお疑い申し上げるのは非常に心苦しいです。ですが、お父様の主治医として、唯一無二の親友として、長くお父様と共にあられた。ベアトリーチェのことも知っているかもしれない。何かの古いしがらみを知っていて隠しているのではありませんか？
そんなはずはない。落ち着きなさい。
It was pitiful to watch Dr. Nanjo frantically pleading his innocence. From a cousin's point of view, can they be certain that it isn't Natsui? It was probably a normal reaction that anyone would give if they were suspected. Kumasawa was the same. Ever since Jessica voiced her suspicions of Kumasawa murdering Canon, Kumasawa had been totally flustered. That was why Genji's still calm appearance looked so bold. And Natsui pointed the barrel of the gun.
Genji, あなたはお父様の一番の部下です。ベアトリーチェとはあなたがお父様に見せた幻想で、あなたこそがその実行者だったのではないのですか？
そうお疑いいただけるのは、奥様が私を親方様の一番のしもべだとお認めいただけたということで、このような場ではありますが、とても名誉なことだと存じます。しかし、この手紙を置いたのは私ではありません。
それを私が鵜呑みにできると思いますか？お前が首謀者に決まっています。あるいは熊沢も南條先生もその共犯かもしれない。マリアちゃんもです。
Not content to suspect just the adults, Natsui pointed the gun relentlessly at Maria too. But Maria acted as though nothing had happened. Or maybe she thought she would be fine even if she was shot.
マリアちゃん、今この場ではもう幼いから疑いの枠から外すという段階にない。だから誰もが昨夜からずっと持ってきた疑問をもう一度ぶつけさせてもらいます。
Was it the definition of just repeating something and expecting it to change?
昨日バラ庭園であなたに手紙を渡したベアトリーチェは誰です？
Beatrice.
マリア、ごまかすんじゃねえぜ。この際はっきりさせろ。お前に手紙を渡したのは誰なんだよ。
だから何度も言ってるよ。ベアトリーチェだよ。1000年を生きる黄金の魔女なんだよ。姿を知りたければ後ろを振り返ればいい。
To look at the portrait?
ほら、そこにいるよ。ベアトリーチェが。
バカにしてんのかてめえ。
よせジェシカ、マリアもよせ。状況が分かってんのか。そんなこと言って何になるってんだ。無意味な挑発はよしやがるってんだ。
マリアには分かんないよ。バトラたちは誰が犯人ならいいの？自分たちの中に犯人がいると信じたくない時だけベアトリーチェを信じて、親しい人を殺された恨みを晴らしたい時だけ暴力をぶつけられる人間の犯人を信じたがってベアトリーチェを否定する。だから見えないんだよ。ベアトリーチェはいる。お前たちには見えない。
黙りなさい。あなたが犯人だと決めつけたくはありませんが、この状況を不愉快にさせて楽しんでいる利的行為者であることはもはや疑いの余地。
ならどうするの？マリアを撃つ？別にいいよ。もうすぐ黄金鏡の扉が開かれる。そして全ての死者がよみがえる。今や死は 恐れるべきことではないんだよ。
I'm wondering if someone does make a sudden move and Natsui shoots them on reflex, are they going to get shot in the stomach?
母さん、やっぱりこいつは怪しいよ。一緒になんかいられないよ。
でも夏日おばさん、どうか落ち着いて。マリアちゃんを撃つ理由は何もない。どうか冷静に。手紙は挑発するけど何も恐れることはない。犯人だって明日が怖いんだ。警察が怖いんだ。この島は今無秩序に支配されているけれど、それは台風で隔離されているからだけに過ぎない。台風が過ぎれば秩序が戻ってくる。だからおばさん、撃っちゃいけない。
なんでジョージ兄さんはそんなにも冷静なんだよ。この4人の中に犯人がいる。いや、あるいは4人が全員来るかもしれない。
Well, since we're talking about possibilities of people working together, it could be one of the four, and then one of the people who's considered safe.
この中にエヴァおばさんたちを殺した犯人がいるかもしれないってのに、なんでそんなに冷静なんだよ。
僕だって犯人を見つけて殺してやりたい気持ちはあるさ。でもそれは単なる蛮行だ。僕は罪の裁きを秩序に任せる。だからどんなに疑わしくても引き金を引いてはいけないんだ。ジョージの兄貴に同じだ。夏日おばさん、ここはちょいと冷静になろうぜ。とにかく撃つのはまずいぜ。こういう時はよ、頭を後ろに反らしてクールになるって3回唱えるといいらしいぜ。
はっきりさせておきます。魔女などいない。ここは六軒島で、ここは後宮家の本家屋敷です。
Another sudden thought. What is the possibility that Natsui's stand here ends with her death out of nowhere, and very obviously not caused by anyone in the room?
後宮家代表、後宮夏日として宣言します。ここには魔女などいない。ベアトリーチェなど認めない。何を企もうとも娘たちには指一本触れさせない。それが母としての、当家代表としての務めです。
Those words were the final words of farewell. It settled everything, huh? To protect her daughter, Aunt Natsui would regard any suspicious person as an enemy. The only reason George, Aniki and I were standing on this side was because, by coincidence, we had a clear alibi regarding the letter. If I hadn't approached the portrait, I would also be at the other end of that gun barrel, treated like a criminal. But even though a part of me thought that, part of me was thinking that chasing all the suspicious people from this room would finally guarantee our safety. Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, Dr. Nanjo, all of them were on grandfather's side. Maybe you could say that once Maria started blindly believing Beatrice, she was also on grandfather's side. That's right, they're all suspicious. But is this really okay? Throw out all the suspicious ones in such a lawless way, will we still have a right to defy the lawlessness of the witch? Aunt Natsui didn't tell them to leave with her own words, but with wordless pressure, she induced them to say that themselves. Because if Dr. Nanjo didn't say those words, his cold silence would surely continue forever.
落ち着きなさい、夏日さん。だが気持ちはよくわかる。わしだって今朝からの異常な事件続きで頭がどうかなってしまいそうだ。だからわしらを疑いたい気持ちもよくわかる。
もし本当に南條先生が無関係なら、私は無礼極まりないことをしているのだと思います。ですが、今だけは分かってください。
分かった。 わしらは部屋を出ましょう。
To another room in the study or outside of the study?
どうですかな、源氏さん。客間に戻ってチェスの続きといきませんかな。
それをお望みでしたら。
私は嫌ですよ。だってこの中に狼がいると分かってて部屋から追い出されてしまうんですよ。嫌ですよ、奥様。どうかお許しください。
It was obvious what Kumasawa-san was trying to say. She was innocent, and she was being injected into dangerous territory along with the culprit. The current situation, urging her to leave this room along with the suspects, was almost exactly the same as letting her get killed. However, Kumasawa-san really was suspicious just for being the first one to discover that Kanon-kun had been murdered. At that time, everyone except Kumasawa-san had an alibi. Unless you could prove the existence of some contraption, or the existence of some 19th person, Kumasawa-san was by far the most likely suspect. I didn't want to believe it. However, Aunt Natsui and the rest of us were in such a difficult situation that we couldn't help suspecting her as well. So, we didn't say anything to stop Aunt Natsui from trying to oppressively chase them from the room. We stopped her from shooting, but we were passively agreeing to chase the others out of the room. On top of that, Maria spoke to the fretful Kumasawa-san.
大丈夫だよ。ベアトリーチェは敬う人には優しいから。熊沢さんはベアトリーチェがいるって信じてるもん。だからきっと大丈夫だよ。マリアは客間でテレビを見るよ。一緒に見ようよ。ここテレビがなくてつまんないもん。
It looked like Kumasawa found Maria's roguish laugh very frightening. However, 3 other people had agreed to leave the room. Kumasawa couldn't fight the flow and had to agree, crying as she went.
それでは夏井さん、今夜はこれで。
Yeah. Well, with the 4 of them that are still there, they can't guarantee that there isn't a collaborator within them. Because what was it? It was, after all, it was a battle that drew attention to the portrait, which made everyone look away. Yeah. So while he might not have placed the letter, he could be working in collaboration with him. So it would be possible that there's 2 people working against the group, and now there's 1 person in each of the 2 groups, which might make it easier for them to kill the others in their sleep, for example. I think it would be a better option to have all of them together, but then have a watch system so for the night. I mean, I guess unless... because even if they're going to plan to stay awake all night, they probably won't be able to.
また明日お会いしましょう。
今夜だけは分かってください。警察が来たら全員に今夜のこの無礼を必ず謝罪しますから。チェスもよろしいでしょうか。できたら安全なところに。現地頼みます。
かしこまりました。
仕方ありませんね。小連の熊が一番恐ろしいと言いますから。
源氏も熊沢も本当に申し訳ありません。また明日お会いしましょう。
She's given apologies to Nanjo and the 2 servants, but nothing to
マ
Maria.
リアちゃんも
Oh, okay.
冷たいおばさんをどうか許して。
マリアは許す。
奥様、この部屋の鍵です。
That was the other point I was going to
2
raise.
本すべてをお預けします。
Genji-san pulled 2 keys, golden keys from his pocket and handed them to Aunt Natsuhi.
それから 私が持っているお屋敷内の鍵束もお預けいたします。
He took out a bundle of about 10 keys of various shapes and handed it over. To the servants, those keys were probably proof of their position. Being placed in charge of those keys meant that they were trusted, relied upon. When they were forced to return them, it meant they had lost that trust. Thinking about it this way, to Ganji-san, who had worked here for a span of many years, there could be no greater shame. However, Genji-san's usual indifferent expression remained on his face.
源氏、私はお前をお父様がお亡くなりになったら長年の苦労をねぎらって退職を許すつもりでいました。なのにこのような仕打ちを私は心より恥じます。
私は親方様より今日までの日々はそれに対するご恩返しの日々であっただけです。どうかお気に病まれませんよ。
それでは参りますかな、皆さん。おやすみなさい。
おやすみ。バトラもおやすみ。
あ、マリア、ちょっと待て。
Knowledge of guilt made me call Maria back. I groped around in my pocket and took out that scorpion keychain.
これ魔除けなんだろ。
You did actually have it.
身につけとけ。
When they entered the room, I was thinking that maybe he still had it, but he did actually have it.
バトラ、確か落としてなくしたって。
あん時はなんか尺になってなくしたとかホラ吹いただけだ。お前の大切なお守りをなくすわけねえだろ。
Maria silently took the charm. I was unable to say anything after that.
それでは皆様おやすみなさいませ。
We watched them leave, our expressions completely worn out, and we weren't even able to respond. Until the door closed and we heard the auto-lock, we were unable to breathe. Then we were finally allowed to take a breath. After that, I noticed that Beatrice's letter, which I had been gripping the whole time and which was soaked with my sweat, actually had two sheets. The paper had been tightly stuck together, so I'd mistakenly thought that there was only one. There were no characters on the second sheet. That thing drawn there was a magic circle, written with red ink like blood. Just like how every magic circle up until then had been different. This magic circle was one I'd never laid eyes on before. It's a Triforce! Inside the circle, a large triangle and a small triangle were fit together in a simple design. But just as before, there was writing in Hebrew, and it seemed clear that it held some kind of meaning. I wanted to know what that could be, but we had just chased Maria, the only person who could understand the meaning of the magic circles, out of the room. I thought of this magic circle as Beatrice's second message. What does this magic circle mean? Damn it. After chasing out all the suspicious people, all we had to do was stay barricaded here until morning, and everything would probably be over. Once the typhoon has passed, when the seagulls cry, will everything be resolved? But the letter, which had unexpectedly appeared in the study, forced us to reject that naivety. It made it very clear that, if time ran out, it would mean the witch's victory. When time runs out, is the witch planning to take on the offensive? This time, is she planning to display some fearful magical power, maybe something that could have been used to kill 6 adults at once? Wait, when is time supposed to run out anyway? I don't know anything.
これでもう安全です。もう。
How many deaths left that are needed? Oh, that's time. So we've gone to here. 1, 2, 3. Which could mean one person in the room killing 3 others. The other 3. It should fill the stomach, knee, and leg. I'm mostly thinking this because of the magic circle in the room, which has normally appeared where there's been the dead bodies. Well, it didn't appear for these 2. Did it? I don't think it did. There was something on the knives, or the picks. Yeah. In any case, I hope you've all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, see ya.